these are the topics which we have done till now. Now we are moving forward to block 2. There are 6 topics on block 2 and all the topics are very important. Today we are going to discuss accepting a new audit client and accepting non-engagement from an existing client. Let's move to the block 2. So this is our block 2 lecture 1 and topic number 1, practice management. What is meant by practice management? Practice means audit firm is a service provider which provides audit and non-audit services. Management means decision to accept or offer a service or to accept a new audit client. This topic lecture is divided into 2 components. The first one is accepting a new audit client, and the second one is accepting non-audit service from an existing client. Accepting a new client means the client is new. Previously, we have not performed the audit of the same client. And accepting non-audit service means the client is existing, but this year we are offering non-audit service. Non-audit service means other than the financial statement audit service. Now read the accepting a new client. Before accepting a new audit client, an audit firm should consider the following: client screening, integrity. Before accepting a client, you will have to evaluate the client integrity. Let's say our client is involved in illegal activities, money laundering, tax evasion, or bribery. If client is involved in these activities, then you will not going to accept this engagement because it will also affect your publicity. Identify whether there is something negative about the new client, such as tax evasion, negative media publicity, breach of law, and money laundering. Customer due diligence, know your client procedure. If you have remember, we had already covered this thing in the lecture 1 of the block 1, which is money laundering. Point B corresponds with the previous auditor. This is our new client. It means last year audit was done by another auditor. So we have to communicate with the previous auditor to ensure that there is something about this client. Most of the time, we communicate with the predecessor or previous auditor to obtain further information about the client. If there was no previous auditor, of course, we can't communicate. If there was a previous auditor, so how to communicate with the previous auditor? First, we obtain permission from client. Before client permission, we can't communicate. That's why we have to obtain the permission of client, means professional clearance letter. If the client gives permission, then correspond and get information from the previous auditor. If the client does not give permission, we can't accept this engagement. Why? Because client is concealing the facts, means there is something fishy which client does not wants us to know. That's why the client does not give permission. Point C, preconditions of audit must be present. Preconditions of audit means management has done its responsibilities. What are the management responsibilities? Sorry. Prepare the financial statement in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Applicable financial reporting framework is a law which is applicable on the client where the client is located. Let's say client is located in any country where IFRS does not applicable, so it means there is another law which is applicable. So we have to ensure whether the financial statement prepared in accordance with AFRF, applicable financial reporting framework. Second point, to implement a sound system of internal controls to prevent and detect fraud and errors. We have to ensure that there are proper system of internal control to ensure operating effectiveness of such controls. Point C, to give access to auditors of all the information and explanation. Otherwise, it will be a scope limitation. If we ask management about anything, it is the duty or the responsibility of the management to provide the auditor with all the necessary information. If management refuses to provide, then it will result in a scope limitation. We will cover scope limitation things in the block 3, which is our reporting block. The deadline. Deadline should be realistic to complete the audit with quality effectively, means no time pressure on the auditor from the management. Deadline should be versus the amount of the work to be performed versus the size and complexity of the client, means the deadline should be realistic in order to ensure the amount of audit work has been performed in this given time frame. Also, it should be considered the complexity and size of the client. If the client is a listed, then of course we need for more time to perform our work. Competence of an audit firm. Audit firm should evaluate its competency as whether the audit team members are competent enough to perform the audit of this new client. Because this is our new client, we have to evaluate our competency whether our team members are competent to perform this new audit client. How will an auditor evaluate its competency? Auditor will ensure whether previously they have performed the audit of the same nature of client. Also, auditor will ensure the client is involved in specialized nature or not. Specialization in the industry from where the client has come from, previous experience of the similar nature of the client, know the industry specialism, means lead to quality, reduce negligence. Auditor will have to protect its professional liability. We have covered this topic. This is the topic 2 of our block 1, professional liability. So if the auditor accepts this engagement without evaluating its competency, then it can result in professional liability. So in order to protect auditor themselves from professional liability, auditor will have to evaluate its competency. Point F, ethical issues and safeguards. Audit firm should ensure whether there is any ethical issue arises in order to accepting the new audit client, such as self-interested. Let's say you are accepting this new audit client, it will give you an opportunity to generate more revenue. So it means there is a self-interest threat. So audit firm should have to evaluate the ethical say issues and safeguards. Also, there is an intimidation threat. How if there is any time pressure or threat on the audit team from the client's management. If the management put pressure on the audit team members to perform this work in short period of time, so it means there is a time pressure which can result in intimidation threat. The last point is fees fair reasonable, means fees should be based on amount of the work and size and complexity of the client. Fees should not be based on any outcome, as it is called contingency, which creates self-interest threat. What is meant by fee should be based on amount of the work, means if the amount of work is larger, so fee should be based on the amount of work. Also, if the client is a large entity, so also in this case we need more resources, and for the cost benefit analysis, audit firm will have to increase their fees. So it is appropriate or better to discuss the fees related issues before accepting the engagement. Also, fees should not be based on any outcome, means if the management asks you that I will pay this amount of fee if you are completing this work within 2 months instead of 5 months. Also, if our profit increased by 15%, I will pay you additional 5,000. So all these are conditions of contingency fee, which creates self-interest threat. So always mention in your answer that fee should be based on amount of work and size and complexity of the client. Okay, these are the few things which we have just discussed. If there is a question in your exam regarding accepting of new audit client, so you will have to write these elements. Make sure you link with the exhibit, otherwise you will not score a single mark. Also, this is a very important topic. I will show you how many times this topic is tested in your exam. Now, let's move to the topic 2, accepting a non-audit service from an existing client. First, we have discussed accepting a new audit client. Now, we are discussing accepting a non-audit service from an existing client. When we are providing a non-audit service to an existing client, we should have to evaluate our competency versus the nature of the service the firm is to offer. We will have to ensure our competency, whether we are capable to provide this service to our client or not. Deadline, realistic versus the nature, complexity of the service means the complexity of the service should kept in mind before accepting a non-audit service to an existing client. Third, ethical issues and safeguards. Remember, it's your existing client, so there can be a possibility of self-interest and self-review threat. How self-interest threat? Again, you are generating an opportunity of additional revenue, so self-interest. And how self-review? Self-review because this is your existing client and there is a possibility you will not do your work diligently or you will review your previous work. So it results in self-review threat. Last point, fees should be fair, reasonable versus the nature and complexity of the service. Are you getting this thing? All the points include one common thing, which is service, 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 service. So make sure you are reading this thing with an open eyes because this is something different from the above. The first we have discussed accepting a new audit client. Now we are discussing accepting a non-audit service from an existing client. Means client is our existing client, but the service we are providing is a new service. There are two examples for you. You have been requested to perform tax services by your existing audit client. Tax service, additional source of income, self-interest threat, tax component of financial statement. Tax is a component of financial statement. Later will be audited by the audit firm. Audit firm will be reluctant to review the tax amount, so it results in self-review threat. I have just explained these things here. Also, you have been approached by your existing client asking to give an advice on the new accounting software. Advice. Whenever there is a word you are advising your client, it results in an advocacy threat. Advice fees charge. Of course, you are charging fees. You can't provide anything free. So additional income, self-interest threat. Advice means promoting the client business interest. Advice will help the client in selecting shortlisting the new accounting software. So advocacy thread. Make sure you are reading this content very efficiently. Now move to the past paper questions. Are you ready? Look, there are 8 to 10 past paper questions on this topic. Now you can check the significance of this topic. This is very important topic in almost all your exam paper. You will find questions on accepting a new audit client or accepting a non-audit service from an existing client. Also, there are two technical articles, audit in specialized industry. This is very important technical article, very important technical article, not only for this topic but for your entire triple exam. Very important technical article. Accepting decisions for audit and non-audit engagement. I have written down the summary for both the technical articles, so I will and I am suggesting you to read the articles. Plus, please don't ignore or don't skip reading the articles, otherwise it may affect you. The article 2 is accepting the new audit clients and accept and engagement. This is article number 2. Now there is a one past paper question which I have written down for you. Let's read. You have been you have been asked to consider the accepting of a potential new client. It means we have a new client. Okay. The Broadway Group, the group, Welford and Company, has recently been approached by the audit committee of the group. Means Welford and Companies are audit firm and client is Broadway Group, new client, to become its audit provider. Okay. The parent company of the group, Broadway PLC, is a listed company. Listed company. Whenever there is a word listed company, make sure there are something about rules and regulations. Rules and regulations. And the group has a total of 14 subsidiaries. Means for total 14 subsidiaries. So we will make sure that our deadline should be realistic. Fees should be increased because we have to put so much resources for a total 14 subsidiaries, 10 of which are foreign subsidiaries. The group is a food processor, 10 of which are foreign subsidiaries, means specialized. The group is a food processor. Nature of the group is a food processor, so we have to ensure whether we have competency in auditing the food processor industry. And each of its foreign subsidiaries provides particular ingredient used in the group's main processing plant, which is based in the UK. The subsidiaries produce raw ingredients including corn, wheat, vegetables, and nuts. If Welford and Company decide to accept the appointment, it will provide the audit for the group consolidated financial statement and for the individual financial statement of some of the subsidiaries. Means we will audit the group consolidated financial statement and for the few subsidiaries. Okay. The group audit committee has suggested that to keep the audit fee as low as possible. Do you think this is valid? No, this is not valid. Why? Because we are performing the audit of group as well as its subsidiaries. So group audit committee suggestion is not valid. You will have to pick this line, then you have to link it with your own words. You will write the group audit committee suggestion that to keep the audit fee as low as possible is not valid because group has total 14 subsidiaries and we are appointed for the audit of group and for the individual financial statement of some of subsidiaries. So for that we have to put additional resources and our work should be larger than the normal audit. Welford and Company could audit the companies based in the UK, but the foreign subsidiaries would be audited by the local firm. No problem if the foreign subsidiaries are still audited by the local firm, but still we are the parent auditor. We have covered this topic in our blog one that if the foreign subsidiaries are audited by local firm, then as a parent auditor, it is our responsibility to check the local auditors or component auditors work. We can't rely on the component auditors work. These foreign subsidiaries contribute 60% to the group's total assets. It means it is a significant subsidiary. Remember the 15% rule. Are you getting these things? Look how important are block 1. Without block 1, you can't move to block 2 or block 3, and same goes for the block 4. The group has recently become involved with a business in far land, means acquisition, something like that, a remote country which produces tropical fruit. The business is not incorporated as a company, and local regulations in far land only require financial statement to be prepared or audit to be performed for companies. From an internet search regarding the group, you have also gained the following information, means client does not provide this thing. We have obtained such thing from the internet search. So it means there is something about client integrity. Okay, let's read. Local protester. One subsidiary palm company has been accused of environmental damage. Means Broadway's one subsidiary palm company has been accused of environmental damage due to its operations impacting on the rainforest and causing harm to wildlife. There have been some protests by concerned citizens in the country where Palm Company is located. Digital recordings of these protests have spread worldwide on social media. This is a digital era, and in this era, if anything bad is posted on social media, so it affects your publicity or your brand reputation. Expansion of operation. The group has recently expanded its operation in a certain country by acquiring a large area of land on which to grow wheat. To receive government approval for the acquisition, a significant incentive payment. What is this? This is bribe. So again, this point is indicating negative thing about client integrity. Was made to a government minister. We all know what kind of incentive we pay to the ministers. This has been reported widely in the media, and all over the media the news has been circulating. Now read the requirement. Evaluate the matters which should be considered before Welfare and Company accept the audit of the Broadway. Whenever there is a word evaluate, evaluation, or evaluating, make sure you will have to write a conclusion in the end of your answer. Without conclusion in the evaluate requirement, you will get 0 marks for the conclusion. So make sure whenever there is a word evaluate or evaluating, you will have to write a conclusion. Now there is an answer guidance for you. First, student steps to answer a good question. Read the requirement carefully. Look at the number of marks. Judge the marking scheme to conclude how many points to write. Read the case and pick up the number of the points. 1 mark for the 1 point. Means if you are going to write 1 point on listed company, you will get 1 mark. And 1 point contains 3 to 4 lines. More than three are okay, but if you can write an additional, make sure it between 3 to 4. Okay. Read the case and pick up the number of points and date which we have list down here. Draft the answer. How you will draft your answer. Heading. Make sure you are giving. These are headings. Your first heading will be about listed company. Then you will write. Sorry, you will pick the line from here. The parent of the Broadway company is a listed company. Once you copy and paste under the heading of listed company, then you will write as Broadway is a listed company, so Welford company need to have an appropriate knowledge of the laws and regulations to ensure compliance in the conduct of audit. Further, Welford need to exercise greater due care and professional skepticism as the group is a listed company. So you will have to write these things. How will you start writing these things? Of course, when you start practicing, practice makes you perfect. Punchline, you should always copy from the exhibit. Okay, heading followed by paragraphs. Each para should contain more than 3 to 4 sentences. 3 to 4 sentences are okay. Required. Evaluate the matter. This is a requirement. Okay, evaluation means conclusion mark 10 marks, because 10 marks so mean 1 mark per matter equal to 10 matter. Or you can write 9 matters because 1 mark is for the conclusion. Now I have list down the following point. Listed company, size of group, large group because total 14 subsidiaries. Nature of the group, food processor. It's mentioned the group is a food processor. Okay, group auditor as 60% to the group total asset done by the foreign subsidiaries, so 40% group, not foreign subsidiaries. The fees should be low. We have where the finance director mentioned. Yeah, it's mentioned here. Fees should be lowest. This is not valid. I have explained earlier. Farland new venture. So there are other rules and regulations. Make sure Broadway is following all these requirements. Also, there is a currency volatility, environmental damage. So these are client integrity component. Also, incentive payment, bribery. So you will have to write these things, and you will develop such things when you start your practicing. So make sure you are taking lecture and start practicing. Take care and goodbye.